All right, everybody. So this is the next book I'm going to be reading to you guys this year is a book called Ragweed. Now, like I talked about with Poppy, Ragweed is actually book one, but the author named Avi actually wrote Poppy first, and then went back and wrote Ragweed because he just loved the character Ragweed so much at the beginning of the story, even though what he lasted a page or two in that other book. So this is the story of Ragweed before he came and met Poppy there. So anytime you guys start a new book, you should always do a book walk, kind of orient yourself to the book, get to know the book so you know what to expect in the book. So of course, take a look at the cover here. So I'm assuming that's Poppy or that's Ragweed here before he had an earring. And looks like we're going to have several other mice here. That's in the story. It does say, this small country mouse is in for a big city adventure. Well, that tells me that looks like Ragweed is heading to the city. Maybe New York City, Chicago, who knows? Or maybe it's just a made up city, but probably something big like that. And then checking out the back, I'm just going to read a little blurb here, so maybe I can learn a little bit about some characters, the setting, who knows? But let's figure it out. So it says, Ragweed is determined to see the new world. Determined again. Well, that sounds like Ragweed, right? So it says, a small mouse with big dreams. Ragweed leaves his family in a cozy country home for the big city. His adventures bring music, excitement, and a new friends into his small town life. But a cunning group of carnivorous cats, threatens to ruin all of his fun. With the help of a motley yet musical crew of city mice, Clutch, Dipstick, Lugnut, and Blinker, Ragweed prepares to battle his feline foes. So no more Mr. Ocox. Looks like we're going to have some cats that we have to deal with this time. We'll see how that goes. So we'll see. All right, this is book one, Ragweed. All right, we got another map here. I'll show you this. So definitely a city map. We'll see. Obviously doesn't mean much to us now, right? But you can always refer back to that map later on in the chapters. I always like to do that with Poppy. As I read Poppy, it's kind of fun to see the map there. But anyway, here we go. Chapter 1, Ragweed. Ma, a mouse has to do what a mouse has to do. Ragweed, a golden mouse with dark orange fur, round ears, and a not very long tail, was saying goodbye to his mother and father as well as to his 50 of his brothers and sisters. They were all gathered by the family nest, which was situated just above the banks of the brook. Is it something about us that's making you leave home? His mother, whose name was Clover, asked tearfully. She was small and round with silky black eyes. Aw, Mom, come on, that's not fair, Ragweed replied, wishing he could leave without so much fuss. I just want to see things. I am almost 4 months old, you know. I mean, the brook is wonderful, but, well, it's not the whole world. Ragweed's father, Valerian, who knows, drew himself up. He was long-faced and lanky, and his scruffy whiskers were touched with gray. Now, son, he said, no need to poke fun at us stay-at-homes. I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't mean to joke. All I'm going to do is going off and do exploring. We'll see what else is out there. Before settling down. I won't be gone that long. Will you absolutely promise to come back? Clover asked. Though Ragweed had carefully slicked down his fur so that it was quite neat and proper, she found a small strand around his ear that required careful adjusting. But then Ragweed was very, very special to her. Of course I will, Ragweed assured her, trying to duck his mother's fussy fixings. And if you meet a young female mouse, Clover added gently, one for whom you develop a fondness for, just make sure she's really cares for you. Ragweed blushed. Hey, Ma, I'm too young for that stuff anyway. Come on, I'm just gonna go someplace today. I better start moving. This notice of his imminent departure caused Clover to fling her paws around Ragweed's neck and give him a nuzzle about his right ear. Please, please be cautious, she whispered. Promise me that you will. I promise, Ragweed returned. A reluctant Clover released her son. Valerian held out his paw. Ragweed, you're a clear-thinking, straight-talking, hard-working young mouse. I'm proud of you. Ragweed shook his father's paw. Dad, he replied, if I can be anything like you, that'll be enough for me. Thank you, son, Valerian said, his voice husky. Embarrassed by so much emotion, Ragweed looked sheepishly at his brothers and sisters. Of those still at home, he was the eldest. Even among the older ones, who had returned from nearby homes to say goodbye, Ragweed was the first to leave the area of the brook. Hardly a wonder that they were gazing at him with affectionate awe. But it was to Rye, his younger brother, by a few weeks that Ragweed went. Rye looked very much like Ragweed, save for a notch in. Just a quick picture. Looks like of him saying goodbye to his parents. His right ear, the result of an accident. Okay, Rye, Ragweed said, giving his brother a mock punch on the shoulder. You're the big kid in the nest now. Make sure you take care of things. If you don't, hey, you're gonna answer to me when I come back. You get it? I know, I know, Rye replied with a grin masking his annoyance that his older brother was telling him what to do. Next, Ragweed dipped a wink of his favorite younger sister Thistle. See you around, kiddo, he called. Oh, Ragweed, I'm going to miss you so much, she cried. Rushing forward, she gave Ragweed a big nuzzle. Ragweed, determined to be light-hearted, stepped back, gave a carefree wave, and set off up the hill, striding boldly toward the edge that overlooked the little valley. Halfway up, he came to a large boulder embedded in an outcropping of earth. There he paused and looked down at his family, who were still observing his departure. Though he wanted to move on, Ragweed found himself lingering. The spring air was brimming with a delicate sweetness. The vaulting blue sky seemed endless. The warm sun was embracing. Amid moss and grass, flowers had burst forth with youthful daring, in contrast to the shallow old brook, which wound lazily between low, leafy banks, bearing pink and white water lilies on its wide surface. As for the tall trees that stood all around, they were veiled in a downy green mist of just-born leaves. What lay below Ragweed was not merely beautiful, it was his home. His home. And there was his family, whom he loved as much as he knew they loved him. Hope I'm doing what's right, he thought with a sigh. Then, reminding himself out loud that a mouse has to do what a mouse has to do, he gave a final wave to his family and continued up the ridge. Ragweed had no notion where he was heading. He had consulted no one, planned little. I'll just go where a whim takes me, he told Rye. As Ragweed went along, he now and again broke into snatches of an old song. His voice was good, if rather low for a mouse, and he enjoyed singing. The song he trilled was one he and his family often sang on hikes and picnics. A mouse will a-rove and go along wooded paths and pebbled ways, to places high and places low, where birds do sing 'neath sunny rays. For the world is full of mice, oh, for the world is full of mice, oh. The song carried him to the crest of yet another hill. There he paused again. The trail seemed to extend from his toes straight to the horizon. Just to see it gave him the wonderful sensation that anything might happen. He took a deep breath. How delicious was the sense of freedom he felt. How fine that he and he alone was responsible for himself. He had not, he now realized, grasped how exciting it would be to grow up and strike out on one's own. The thought of it all brought a tingling from the tip of his nose to the tip of his tail. Energized anew, Ragweed stepped boldly along the trail, now and again squeaking out at top voice, "For the world is full of mice, oh!" Just another quick picture of Ragweed taking off. Alright, that was the end of chapter 1.